Hello, hello. Getting my lights on. Happy Monday. Today's going to be fun. Give you guys a few minutes to tune in. Okay. I look live. Welcome. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Yes, I am earlier than I normally am. I had a few messages from you this morning asking me if this was a typo because I'm usually later. I have more support with Life Pro myself during the day. And there's so many new users. A lot of your questions certainly are training related, but some of them are Life Pro specific. So for the rest of the month, I'm going to be in the 4 to 4:30 p.m. There I am. I'm live, so I'm going to kill my Facebook. And thank you for joining me today. So put that in your mental calendars. Last week I did 3 moves upper body. Today is going to be 3 moves that you can really use anywhere, anytime throughout the course of your day. If you're by your machine and you are dealing with things like fatigue, poor sleep, things that you just need an energy boost where you would traditionally grab for that cup of coffee. So yes, I'm on coffee. I think my view is backwards. I'll have to figure that out next time. How do I do that? Settings. Anyways, I want you to consider using your vibration plate to give you that oxygen boost, engage those muscles. There's lots of ways that we can use our plate for exercise, but it's also many of you that follow me regularly on my own channels or watch my Life Pro sessions regularly. I deal with a lot of acute, a lot of chronic stuff, and many of my users are only able to use it for short periods. So when we're dealing with energy, fatigue, those types of terms, there's really a delicate balance on the time. Many of you ask me, how can I set my machine for an hour? How can I go for 20 minutes? And my first response is typically, well, why do you want to go so long? If you're looking to boost energy and you do deal with fatigue for whatever reason, long durations, whether you're working out or just doing feel-good stuff, you've got a lot of activity going on. So if the goal is to boost energy, I absolutely recommend short, frequent sessions throughout the course of the day. And what you will find over time is the energy boost will last longer, meaning you don't need to use your plate as often. Maybe you're just trying to get to a point where you can exercise. Maybe right now the fatigue and the pain and some of the other symptoms are so progressive that you can imagine doing squats and push-ups. So this is also these 3 move things that I'm doing for the course of the month are good precursors to build up getting to a larger or longer program. So very often when you're starting out, there's kind of 2 questions I'm planting seeds on here. Total time and how many times you can use a machine really are determined by why you're using it and where you're physically at. So when like a doctor or a medical type asks me, well, how many times a day can you use your vibration plate? My first response would be, well, how many times a day are you allowed to go for a walk? There's no restrictions, but if you're dealing with fatigue, that you probably wouldn't go 5, 6, 7 times a day for a mile. So if you're just starting out and you have fear of any kind, you're below baseline, you're recovering, these exercises that I'm doing today are also very good as just a very short getting started routine if you do plan on using it more throughout the course of the day. So that being said, I'm going to get to the moves. And then I'm going to get back to you guys for some questions or maybe some modifications or variations if you require. So today, I'm ditching my shoes. I did a post in the group here a couple weeks, shoes or no shoes. There's no black and white, and it really depends. If you just, invested in some brand new orthotics and your doctor advises that you wear orthotics or footwear of any kind while you're doing activity, the same applies here. A vibration plate is just an activity. It's a tool to make activity kinder and more effective for those of you using it. So I personally prefer no shoes. But that being said, if I was heading out the door to pick up my kid from music class, which I'm about to in about an hour, and I've already got my shoes on and I just want to have a little fix, I'm not going to take my shoes off just to use the machine for a minute or two. So sometimes with these type of things, it depends on you and where you're at. So if the shoes are on and you just want to, boost yourself before you head out the door, maybe you're going to the pool or you're heading to do other activities, this is a great way to use your plate. So many of you will have seen this in my other sessions. My sessions are always in oscillating movement. Oscillating is the most functional. It is the most commonly preferred type of movement. And it happens to be the one movement that all of Life Pro's plates offer. So all of you can join me with my sessions. So oscillating moves like we walk. And my short tutorial, if you haven't seen it, the big lesson isn't speed or level or program. It's foot or hand position. Wide is more impact, more intense. Closer is less impact, less intense. So regardless of what speed you want to play with, I recommend starting natural with feet about hip width apart. We're not working out. We're not doing taekwondo moves. We're not doing, exercise specific stuff. We're just doing feel good. I want you to couple that closer foot placement and complement it with a faster speed. We're trying to boost energy, so we want to do a quick burst on the lymph, the circulation. We want to oxygenate the blood. We want to reduce pain and swelling. And closer feet and a faster speed is just a different way to do it. And it's my preferred approach if you are dealing with chronic issues, you're fearful. This isn't a treadmill. There's two things you're playing with here. So now that our feet are positioned, hip width apart, and I'm at speed 30, my machine offers 60 speeds. I always speak in ranges because there is no exact number. So play around, in the 20 to 30 to 40 range. See what feels best for you. This is already starting its work by you doing nothing at all. We're moving lymph, we're moving circulation. We are starting to burst energy. So because I talk normally too much, I want to progress through this quickly. Each of these positions, ideally in a routine, are 30 seconds to a minute. If you're doing any one of these on your own, 1 to 2 minutes is really the total time we're looking. Maybe as long as 3 minutes if we're just, we've been using it for a while, but this is strictly to boost energy. This isn't about a workout. So if you've never added upper body, lock the arms and place your hands on your knees, and you're going to start introducing more direct lymphatic movement and circulation. We're going to start relaxing those muscles, move around if you want. I prefer, if range of motion allows, go a little more direct and lean over and put the elbows on the knees. I do this for about 30 seconds to a minute. This is one of my faves throughout the day, just doing this on its own. I might be clearing my Facebook messages, things like that. I like to do some shoulder rolls, like pinch my shoulder blades, do little movements, anything you would do normally as a woman that deals with that neck tension and that stress. Maybe you had a kink in your neck because you slept funny. 30 seconds to a minute on that if you wanted to add that as a variation. You should feel a little looser, a little lighter in the upper body. Next position we're going to move into is a standing exercise. If you feel comfortable standing up off your stool, I recommend trying it. It's a great way to boost balance, stability. Getting up out of a chair or off the sofa or out of your vehicle is a movement that we do multiple times a day. So this in itself is a good exercise, but that's a separate session for another day. So what we want to do now that we're standing, we want our knees slightly bent. If while you're standing, you're finding it's too aggressive, that the movement is too intense, again, instinctively, we want to adjust speed. I challenge you in 2025 to start learning amplitude. How close are your feet? How wide are your feet? 90% of the questions that I see in the VIP group are related to feet because nobody talks about it. What's level? What's speed? I used it for 20 minutes and my back hurt. Well, what did you do? Where were your feet? And what speed were you using? It's not a matter of just using. That means a lot of things to different people. So bring the feet a little closer if you do find it's too aggressive, or perhaps you started closer, and now that you've had 10, 15 seconds, you feel a little looser. Feel free to play with your foot position and bring it a little wider if you want more action. So again, on this exercise, we're 30 seconds to a minute. We're just going to do some pelvic tilts. We're going to tilt the bum forward, clench those butt cheeks, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, go back, arch the back. We're not doing this. We're just moving the hips. It might only be an inch. It might be a half an inch. It may not look like you're moving at all, but you can feel. Okay, time this with some music, some breathing. Many of you are chained to a desk or stuck standing. You know, there's all kinds of reasons our low back, our back in general can give us grief. And this is an awesome exercise to just get that spine, the pelvis through that range of movement that it's supposed to be able to do. And this also makes the next exercise easier and more effective. If you want to do little circles, again, 30 seconds to a minute on that one. The next one we're going to add, and I know I said it's not a workout, but we are going to do one exercise position. We're going to do a squat. Not a mean squat. I want you bending just a little bit like we're getting ready to sit in that chair. If you're dealing with bad knees, bad hips, bad whatever, and you can only go so far, go as far as your range of motion allows. And we're just going to hold still. You can put the hands on the hips. You can leave them here. You can, do some swinging, do whatever you want with the upper body. But what I want to do and why we're doing a squat, I want to fire up the big leg muscles, those quads, the glutes, the calves, all the way down the chain. This is going to boost that metabolism. It's going to burn more idle calories throughout the course of your day, but it's a really good way to boost energy and just get some life and energy into those legs, especially if that's an area you suffer things like, restless leg and you had a poor sleep the night before. This routine is suitable as well before bedtime. So for those of you that are saying, oh, yeah, but you just said we're boosting energy. Boosting energy and relaxing tight muscles and tension, the common goal is to get the lymph and the circulation going. The key before bedtime is not to go so long that you've exhilarated yourself, raised your body temperature, and worked yourself up. So short durations before bed are key. And any exercise that's going to fire up those quads is going to be effective in helping with the sleep thing at night as well, if you do deal with restless leg or sleep apnea. I've done sessions on that. If you ever have questions on all these tangents that I go off on in my sessions, use the search function. There's a bazillion videos between myself, Amber, and Rosanna. We all have different ways that we personally like to train and educate you. There is no one way to cross the finish line. So my preference, because I do deal with so many chronic issues, is always try experimenting. And again, I'll challenge you for 2025. Bring the feet closer and try a faster speed for some of your feel-good stuff. It's not about starting here. And I see lots of comments, well, I can't get past speed 10. Well, it's like, I know that it's because your feet are wide, because I've been answering these questions for almost 20 years. But unless somebody told you not to stand wide, that's typically what we see in manuals at trade shows and things like that. Okay? So I know I rambled about 7-8 minutes on the exercises there, but ideally there were 3. We started seated, and we added upper body, a bit more direct movement by adding the hands, or if you're comfortable in doing so, we added the elbows. Feet are always hip width apart at a mid speed. Just try it this way if you haven't used your plate in the past. It's not always about going longer or making it meaner. Sometimes it's just about changing what your body's becoming accustomed to. So if you've been doing lots of slow speeds with wide feet, just by changing to a faster speed and a closer foot position, it may not feel as challenging, but you've got more movements per second happening. Your body has to react and adapt to this environment that you've just changed. So and this is a great way if you've had a setback, you're just returning, really common this time of year. The variation was adding the elbows to the knees to get a little bit more direct, do some shoulder rolls, neck turns, whatever feels good. Then we stood up and we did some pelvic tilts. This is obviously one of my faves because I do it in most of my routines. Little hip movement just to loosen things up. And this is a great one if you do have access to your machine throughout the day. If you don't, do a little in the morning and a little when you get home. There's no point in letting those symptoms progress and you're suffering all night while you're trying to make dinner and do other things once you get home. And then the last one we did was a short squat. Okay, whatever it looks like, it doesn't have to be your meanest. I just want to get those quads and those glutes engaged for a good 30 seconds to a minute. I prefer not to move. I got a bad knee. Many of you are dealing with arthritic issues. If you do want to move, just very slow, dynamic, 3-4 reps. We're pushing for 30 seconds to a minute. This isn't about going for broke. And then you kind of have to gauge how you feel after. So if you're dealing with lots of chronic and acute stuff, like I always talk about, and you feel energized, the big warning I give you, don't be going and doing a whole bunch of housework and yard work because you feel like you can. You're going to poop yourself out and pay for it later. Give it a couple weeks for your body to kind of build up some of that stamina, stability. Some of the other benefits you're going to get by doing these short sessions, you're going to boost and improve your balance and stability. A lot of my therapists, a lot of my special needs family will do just 2 to 3 minutes on the machine before the kids head to school or before they go to other therapies. That's how effective it is at getting you more stable. Flexibility. If you're really stiff, you're dealing with spasticity, you're just tight, you couldn't imagine ever touching your toes because this looks like you. Just any time you spend on the machine, even if it's just for these feel-good aspects, it's going to through the same way that it boosts circulation and lymphatic movement. We're going to increase flexibility and range of motion. So this is very much a lifestyle tool. Not everyone is looking for the workout. But as I said, some of these moves are a great way to build up and get to the workout if you just find you're not in a position to be that person just yet. So I hope that was helpful. If you did like this, but you did want to, this is the type of exercises that are in your wheelhouse right now and you want to do a little bit more time, you can simply do a repeat or a little bit longer on each of the exercises. I do caution, as I said, it feels so good while you're using it. But it's easy to overdo it using a vibration plate. If you're not coming from an active place, you're recovering, you've been inactive for a very, very long time, as good as the machine feels while you're using it, I don't want you overdoing it. Overdoing it's going to feel like some muscle soreness the next day. And when you're dealing with the acute and the chronic stuff, sometimes we forget what exercise fatigue or pain feels like. And we assume, oh, this did something to my MS or my fibromyalgia because I'm sore today. We forget the difference between the chronic stuff and the new exercise stuff, even if it's in the knees and the ankles. So always reach out if you do have questions. Tag me at Debby with a Y. And then I have a notification for sure, and others can benefit from answers. So I would like to now invite anyone that does have their own questions about the moves I did today. Maybe you're a new user. If you have any questions, I am all yours. Feel free to just post. And if you are in the VIP page or you're having the inability to post, the software that we use to broadcast into many places, sometimes the comments don't come through on my end on the live. So if I'm not answering you and you're typing away, please know that it's not you. It's just the software doesn't connect every single channel that we're broadcasting in. So I will, if I've missed a comment, I will be sure to go in after the live has wrapped up, and on the recording, I will go in and I will address your questions. So if you do have any questions and I'm not answering you, please don't be frustrated. Just type those in there and I will get to them. I do see Renee has gotten through. Hello, Renee. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a good start to 2025. Are you part of this group worth joining? Oh, you're messaging Brenda. I don't see that Brenda's coming up as tagged. I won't know till after the fact. But certainly, if you look at the feed after, it looks like a little circle with a line through it. She may or may not have access to this. If you copy the link from Life Pro, the main page on the top, it's publicly accessible, and just drop her that link, Renee. She should be able to find it that way. Betsy says, does the vibration plate help with circulation? Betsy, you must be just tuning in. It's probably one of the easiest ways to boost circulation. Many of my chronic users lack the ability to physically move on their own. Long before we get into exercise and things like that, many of you just struggle getting up, walking to the refrigerator and the washroom. So a vibration plate is probably, in my opinion, and I'm biased, I've been doing this 20 years, but it is the one tool out there that not only boosts lymph and circulation. When we move, lymph moves. It's not like our blood that our heart pumps through our system. Our lymphatic is only stimulated when our muscles are activated, when we move. The muscles and the tendons are what's physically moving the lymph. So a vibration plate, if you are, even if you're paralyzed, it's a way that your body can move and get these functions moving. But it's also the only other tool that offers weight bearing gains. And what the weight bearing gains are things like bone density, strength. So there's lots of things out there that boost circulation and lymphatic movement, but they do not offer you the other side, the benefit of weight bearing exercise. For anyone that's ever read into the gossipy history of vibration plates about how the Russian astronauts, so there's a bazillion versions. No, they did not have vibration plates in space. But what they did find was, as a post recovery for the astronauts, they had deteriorated to the point where they couldn't go to the gym and do squats. Their bodies had deteriorated. Their muscles had experienced atrophy. Their bone density substantially decreased. So vibration was a way to increase the bone density, increase the muscle strength, get the circulation, the lymph, everything you've ever heard about a vibration plate is, as far as a benefit, is absolutely 1,000% true. Anything that you've heard negative or horrific or bad about a vibration machine, 9 times out of 10, no, 99.99999.9% out of 10, out of 100, it's Monday, is false, and someone trying to sway you their way, or is giving you, quite frankly, an uninformed opinion. So for many of my users that are starting, Betsy, in a chronic place, absolutely, the neuropathy, all these other conditions that you want to increase circulate, there's lots of reasons you may want to increase circulation or lymph. But as you improve, because I know I'm going to nag you enough and you're going to use it consistently, the goal is that you improve. And so, what happens when you want to do other things? Well, you can progress with your vibration plate differently than you can with some of the treatment specific devices. So if you're using like leg compressions or massage garments or PEMFs or saunas, those are all phenomenal tools to boost circulation and lymph as well. By combining them with your vibration plate, you're boosting the benefits of all. They kind of play off each other. And a vibration plate is a great catalyst as a pre and a post treatment. So what we did today would be a great example of something you could do before you got into your sauna or after you got out of it, to give that additional circulation lymph. You are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And, if I were to do a book of every exercise possible to be done on a vibration plate, I need to talk to every exercise and activity discipline on the planet, and the book would be about this thick. A vibration plate is only an environment. It's what you do in the environment, and the settings are tolerance things. So it depends on, maybe you like slow speeds and wider feet, or maybe you've been doing it for a long time and you can tolerate different things. It really boils down to what you're doing on it that drives the long-term goals. But consistency is really the key, regardless of why you're using it. If you're using it for bone density, if you're using it for lymph to reduce pain or swelling, consistent use is really the key. And having so many different variety in poses and exercises is just our way of giving you options, so things don't get stagnant and you keep motivated and excited about using this machine, because you really are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And as I always say, I'm here to fill in the blanks on the rest. So I hope that was helpful. If you do have any other questions, or you're watching this on a recorded basis, as I said, just tag me at Debby with a Y. I dropped a link at the beginning of the live. It is 2025. I was reading some horrible stat that said by the second Friday in January, most people stop their resolutions. I hate all the press and the pressure about this, but I do want to encourage you to use your plate more regularly, and whatever other Life Pro tools that you have, start moving and feeling better. Drop the resolutions and just focus on some you time. However you need to get into the headspace. Today was an example. It was short, it was quick. It does not always have to be a big 5, 10, 20-minute routine. I want to give you possibilities to stay motivated and trick you into using these things consistently, however I can do that. So thank you very much for joining me. As I said, I will be a little bit earlier for the rest of this month. Somewhere between 4 and 4:30 on Mondays is my scheduled planned time. I will be with you next week as well for another 3 move exercise routine. That's my focus for January. If there's something you'd like me to specifically talk about regarding vibration machines, please just let me know, or use the search function in either of the groups. YouTube's a good spot as well. Generally speaking, I've probably done most chronic conditions at least once or twice, right up to the hardcore fitness and stuff. So surf away. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining me, and have a great experience using your plates. Thanks for tuning in.